Hey Keith, so we were talking earlier about the churches that took the COVID relief plan. Can you speak about that?
There was a report this last week. Somebody did an audit, and it was people who were jealous of how religious organizations don't have to be accountable to the government. And the reason they were upset is because it turns out, as part of the COVID relief program that the U.S. government created, 88,000 nonprofit religious organizations received money from the federal government. And you're thinking, why do they need money from the government if they're a nonprofit and they exist on donations? Well, the U.S. government put pressure on those churches and those religious synagogues and what have you to close down. They didn't want any pushback from the churches. They wanted everybody to stay home. Don't go to church, don't worship. And in response, they received over $7 billion in loans that don't have to be paid back. As long as your employees at the church don't get laid off because of COVID, you don't even have to pay the money back. So it's not really a loan unless you're planning to reduce your forces. So 88,000 religious organizations got money from the government, and now that the world found out about it, and the people who have to pay taxes and are exposed to internal revenue audits found out about it, they don't like it. And so there's a big push, and you're going to see that in Congress, where they're going to pass legislation or an executive order that will allow the Internal Revenue Service to audit churches, and that the churches will have to produce financial statements and track their business the exact same way a non-religious entity would have to do it. And that's really not surprising, because when you make a deal with the devil, there's going to be a payday at some point where you have to pay for what you did. And those churches, because they were not discerning enough, they made an agreement, and now it's going to cost them, and churches will be audited, which some of these places, they need to be audited. They're charlatans. They're all about the money. They receive millions and millions of dollars, and it was for their staff to pay their assistant pastors and their bloated staff of all the people who are doing what God says they should be raising up disciples to do. You should never have a large staff at a church, because the people are supposed to be the staff. Everybody's supposed to be a servant. Everybody's supposed to be working in the body of Christ. It's not designed to have pastors and laity. It's designed to have everybody working together as the body of Christ, all doing something, and not have a bunch of paid programs, a bunch of paid program leaders running the show. That is the Nicolaitanian concept that Jesus said that he greatly disliked. He hated the Nicolaitans. That's an example of pastors and laity and why that does not work. But these churches in America have sold out. They sold out a long time ago, and now Satan is going to shut them down, and they're going to lose their tax-exempt status, which means the people who were just going there and supporting those ministries are not going to keep doing it, because they won't be able to deduct on their taxes for giving to those ministries.